Hi, I'm Nadia Kinayu with the Convention Collective, and I am here again with a wonderful Representation Matters artist. I am here with Kayden Phoenix, the creator of Loquita, which surrounds a redheaded, which I absolutely love, a Cuban American, and her fight against the other world. So, Kayden, let's jump right in.
Okay.
Do you want to tell me? First, I saw some of the other kind of artist renditions of Loquita. What drew you to the red, green-eyed choice?
I've already gotten some flack on having red hair, green eyes. But like, one, it's comics. You're allowed to do anything you want. I do lean a lot on manga and anime as my source. And so if you look at any of their works, whether it's a book or movie or shows, they have green hair, they have blue hair, they have red hair, right? Like, it does not matter. They also have gray eyes and ruby eyes and emerald eyes, and it's stuff like that. And it's throughout the whole thing. And that's the whole point. Like, it's a comic book, like, you're there for the story. And so why also, like, if you look at all the rest of them, everyone else has brown and black hair, and it's just, that's a very Latina thing as well, but you can't say Canelo doesn't have red hair. You can't say Loquita can't have red hair. You can't say we can't dye our hair, like, those are just little extra things. But really, just, I needed to diversify my colors, like, besides brown, different shades of brown and black, which is, mainly us regardless. It doesn't hurt to have diversity. I'm all for equality. I'm not saying you're Latino, so you have to have this hair color, you have to have this skin color. Like, I'm light skinned, and I'm Chicana. It doesn't mean I'm less than, any Latina. And so that's the way I see it. My family, my dad, my grandma has green eyes. My grandma's side, everyone has blue eyes. Like, I have hazel eyes, so I didn't get any of that. But, it's stuff like, of course we're mixed. We're Latina, like, why wouldn't we be mixed? So that is why, to diversify them, and so they can bounce off each other as well, besides their characters.
And following on that line of thought, how do you feel growing up Latinx affected how you form these stories?
I think it's a part of my life. Like, that's all I know, honestly. And so that's my meter, and that's where I start, is just Latina. But, at the end of the day, I'm a person. I'm female. I'm Latina, right? Like, I'm everything. And so that is all I know. So it's not like, oh, back when I was this is how everyone treated me. No, I was raised Latina. Everyone treats me like a Latina, for all the good and the bad, with the stereotypes and just, with the actual authentic people. So everything I do already has that in it. So it's not like a hard, like, oh, how do I not portray me as being a maid? Like, I'm not a maid, and so it's not a hard push for me to figure out, let me write someone authentically. Of course I can. That's all I know.
And how do you think in the Latinx community, I know growing up, we weren't really portrayed as nerds, right? We weren't portrayed as being involved in that type of community, but we liked it. Right? Yeah. We liked reading comics. We liked having those things, but it wasn't really portrayed on the big screen as us.
Correct.
How do you feel you kind of guided yourself to that path? And do you feel like representation would have made a difference when you were a kid?
Representation will always make a difference. And there's two parts for that. One, I didn't grow up reading comics. And so I'm very fortunate because I didn't see the objectification, right? Like, I'm not a superhero walking around with a bra and underwear on, like, I don't see that because I actually literally didn't read comics. So I never saw that objectivity. Obviously, when I'm older, of course, I saw it left and right. You can just take Wonder Woman right now as example. But that, I grew up watching, TV shows and cartoons, lots and lots of cartoons in Disney, right? They always mainly had clothes on, and it's just very stuff like that. Like, it's very cute. I'm a millennial, so I grew up with 90s action films. So the guy, like the suit, and I always say guy because it's mainly action, unless you count like Sigourney Weaver and Gina Davis. But I always saw people as characters. So why wouldn't you go save the building from being destroyed, from being blown up? It's not a gender specific thing, right? Any person, if they wanted to save it, they would save it, or they would save their town. It's not like, oh, I'm a guy, I'm going to save Gotham. No, you're just a person that wants to save Gotham, and you have lots of money to do so, and it's stuff like that. So that's how I broke it down when I was small growing up. Obviously, like, when I got older, you realize, oh, here's the sexism, here's literally the racism, here's everything else, the colorism, the social economic prejudice. Like there's literally all the other layers that I saw like growing up, but I didn't know that till I would say till I was in the entertainment industry. And then you see that stuff. Like they actually did a study. So the first part of your thing, they did a study and they just saw all the films like TV and features of Latinas and no Latina character. So no Latina character was written going to college. Like we're not expected to be in college, or at least in media, at least we're not. You know, and so it's like my Santa V2, volume 2 of Santa, she's already in college, because why wouldn't she be? You know, well, not me. I went to college, you know, so like, why wouldn't I be? You know, and it's stuff like everyone in my family went to college, why wouldn't we? And so it's just like, why not normalize it? Because that is our world. This is not the world that we're given or we're portrayed in.
That's a good point, is the expectation of normalizing seeing Latinx women in college, seeing Black women in college, and being successful in comic books across all genres. How do you feel yourself being in this kind of space? How do you feel as a woman, knowing that, you know, with the whole Star Wars and how there was this huge influx of misogyny that came after that, after they created Rose. Do you feel that when you're going and presenting your comic books?
I don't. I'm very fortunate. I'm extremely niche because I'm female and Latina, I'm lesbian. Like I'm very, very niche, and I understand that, but there are the people that are accepting of it, and there are people that want it as well, right? Like lots of guys buy my books, right? And like it's very female, obviously very female, very Latina, but like they support me and they support the cause, and honestly it's a good story, which is why I hope that they're buying it. It's literally for the story. Like I read guy stories. It's not like I won't read guy stories, you know, it has nothing to do with me, but I'll read them. And it's the same mentality, like why wouldn't you read a girl story if it's a good story? So it's stuff like that. Like, are there always sexist and insults and all that jazz? Of course there are, but that is the way that they were grown. We're raised in a patriarchal, oppressive society. You know, guys and girls, everyone, if we're raised that. So it's like, can you decolonize your mind to figure out what I can do to make, you know, an equal stand, an equal balance upon everybody? And that's what I'm trying to do. Obviously, it's lots and lots of work, but like that's my thing. Like that's my mission. So. You know, there's always going to be naysayers. You know, I hope they heal.
I hope so too. Which brings us to Jalisco. I read Jalisco before, and it was wonderful. It was a story of strong women, a variance of strong women who seemed to kind of have a killer edge. Do you kind of want to explain what the inspiration was for that a little more?
That one was my easiest one that I created, and I thought up very quickly because I was like, who's my superhero? My mom. What did my mom do? She danced folklorico. So I'm going to create a superhero that dances folklorico. And like, I literally just put everything together. My grandma's de Jalisco. So that's why it's her name, Jalisco. She's from Jalisco. My other grandma's de Chihuahua. And so it has to do with the women of Juarez, the femicide, particularly. And so like, you know, they're all interconnected to me. Of course, I know that extra little things, but that was an easy one. You know, dancing is not necessarily a superhero thing, but you add blades at the end of it. So when she's dancing, she can slice next, or she goes like that and they shoot out, or I'll show you, she can deflect bullets like that as well. So like, that's a fun little, you know, a different edge, like nothing new per se, but it's fun and it's very macabre and just really pretty to see as well.
So going back to Loquita, when I read it, initially I was kind of looking to see what the inspiration was, what I got from it, because that's basically what artistry is, right? Is what you portray and what somebody takes from it. Mm-hmm. What I got from it, and I want you to elaborate on it, is how much we fight our own demons and kind of the mental health aspect of it, and how Loquita kind of had to overcome that and be honest with everybody around her, even though they didn't understand and see what she was seeing.
Yeah, it has to do with, I mean, that's not my main focus per se, but it has to do with just pretty much growing up. Like you see all the characters, because it takes place in high school. It's dedicated to every female, you know, like just keep going kind of thing, because we don't get told those words, right? We don't get told it's going to be tough, you have to keep going. And it's true, you have to keep going. You know, and it's just for inspiration, like, girls, like it starts off where a guy asks a girl to go out with him and she says no, and he gets really mad and yells at her, right? Like that's such a high school thing, and like I've seen it and I've heard it, you know, and like it's just like you have to keep going regardless, you know, and that's a very simple one. But same thing with Loquita, like she comes into womanhood, and that's the whole thing. Like, she comes into womanhood and there's all these new experiences and feelings and hormones and everything, and she doesn't know what to do with it, right? Because you have to figure it out through experience. And so I use the allegory of demons and ghosts and goblins, and like things are attacking you and nobody else can see it or feel it except yourself. So yeah, you're all right. It is, I don't want to say it's mental health because it's not my main thing, but has to do with mental health and continuing on as well, like in figuring it out and feeling your way through it.
And that actually touched me. Like, as soon as I opened it, I saw that dedication. And I thought that was wonderful, because you need those kind of aspects, right? Especially as women, we need those kind of uplifting messages for us. And I think having it at the beginning of a graphic novel is amazing, because then you have these girls that are going to read it and they're going to be like, wow, okay. And they'll kind of delve into it. I personally like the mental health aspect because it was just great. What was your inspiration? Vika?
Vika.
The Vika.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration? Because I found her very artistic in the way she was drawn, and almost had a very native look to her.
Yeah, my artist, Rebecca Parada, is my artist. She's my illustrator, and she gave me actually the design. So I never, in regards to just how she looks physically, Rebecca Parada, she looks like Kali to me, like the Hindu god Kali, with the sick knives and everything, the blades. And so I thought it was cool. I don't know. I hoped it wasn't too much like how Kali kind of looks. But I thought it was just like, it's different. She did all the demons and the goblins herself. Like, we didn't really do concepts on that, on the rest of them at least. So I say, like, she's just amazing. She does the Archie comics. She does Veronica and Kim. Like, she's in her own world, my illustrator. And so I'm very fortunate that I have her. She did Santa and Loquita, and now she's off doing other stuff as well. But I mean, my inspiration is just, there's always the main big demon, right? There's always the big bad wolf, and there's always the hench people. And so like the little goblins and the ghouls, like they do their jobs, but they're all working for one bigger person, and like that's kind of, if you look at the corporate world, right? We work for the billionaires and the trillionaires, unfortunately, and it's like that. There's always somebody on the top that rules over and oppresses. And so that's her. She's the main one that Loki has to fight eventually at the end.
It was great. It was nice. It was nice to see that. And then I was really inspired by the red hair in contrast to everything. But then, did you have a specific person in mind, or did anybody inspire you for the parents? Because the parents were somebody from my family.
Oh, really? That's great. Thank you. No, I write. I mean, not every character is just somebody. I just like to have fun with characters, and I always like to flip the script as much as possible. So if you default, like Taxi Driver, you default like a Hindu guy, then make it a white girl, right? Like, just, you always have to flip no matter what. And so like, here's a guy that's totally all about Loquita getting on her period, and he's totally cool, and it's just like, as opposed to being like, shine off and here, go with your mom to get tampons, or whatever, and stuff like that. So why not flip the script? Because there are those people that do exist. My dad is very cool, very easygoing, and he's a little bit like that because he is very comical. But I mean, I'm not saying it's my dad, and that one definitely is not my mom, because there's moms in all of my comics. And so everyone's just a different mix of just different people I've met, I guess.
Is that purposeful to have moms in all your comics?
Absolutely, yes. My moms have always been. I'm very matriarchal. I was raised in matriarchs on both sides of my family, and so it's something that I realized afterwards. Not a lot of people are in matriarchies, which is unfortunate, because patriarchies oppress and matriarchies make everyone equal. And I didn't know that difference until later on, till I saw it, and everyone was very surprised. And so, like, why wouldn't you be in a matriarchy? Like, why not make everyone equal? Like, I did the dishes one week, my brother did the dishes the next week, right? Like, it's literally everything was equal, because why wouldn't it be? And that's all I knew. So yeah, absolutely. My mom is always, like I told you, my superhero. She's always come in and saved me no matter what. I get yelled at and have to go get grounded and everything, but she'd still save me regardless, and so like and I think that's how everyone always sees their mom as well, or for the most part, because they are always there for you. So that's absolutely personal.
And have your parents read your graphic novels?
Oh yes, of course. And my grandma too. Yes.
Oh my gosh, what did they say?
Oh, they're all great. They're across the board with what they say and what they're very they always want the best, of course. Because they're Latina family, so I do get my critiques here and there, and that is okay. I will take them. But overall, they do enjoy it, and they are very proud of him as well.
Aww. Well, on that note, is there anything you'd like your readers to share, or you'd like to share with readers?
Well, in Loquita particularly, I did put a non-binary and I did put a trans person in there. They're in the MMA class with Loquita. And something kudos to my artists, because my artists are amazing. I purposely said to the colorist and the penciler as well, I said, okay, this one's non-binary and this is trans. Make sure you draw them or, do them how like that. And they said, okay, so my colorist gave them their colors, right? And so it's not purposeful like, oh, that's a trans person, oh, blah, 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 right? Like, it's not our usual junk that we always get. It's just, okay, for the people that understand that's the trans flag colors, like, that's great. That's a nod to them. They're a person that helps Loquita. Same thing with the non-binary. They help her, and she uses that trick, the MMA, the parkour trick later on at the very end when she fights Vika. And, like, that's the thing. Like, here's a little nod. You exist. And that is it. And, like, that's the whole point. Like, we don't have to say, here's your tragic story. They don't need a tragic story. They're just good people. So that's my little extra nod for the people that need it. People that don't get it, that's fine too. It's still, they're still good characters going through the story.
I saw that seamless inclusion when I looked at the shorts. I was like, oh, look at there. Like, that's great. So yes, that was wonderful. Always great thoughts. It's those small things that make the story fantastic. It was wonderful talking to you. Can you tell us where you're going to be next? So somebody, if they wanted to come out and have their novels signed or just meet you, where can they go?
Yes. So at the end of the month of July, I will be at Lucha Comic Con over at Republic of Lucha in Pasadena on Sunday. Excuse me, I got it backwards. On Sunday, so the 1st, August 1st, and then on Saturday, the day prior, I'll be at Hideout Comics in Fullerton from 12 to 3.
Excellent. And will you be attending Comic-Con in November?
I will be attending Comic-Con in November, as far as I understand.
Yay! So we will look for you there. It was great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Have a good one.